My name is Jacob Adams. I'm a fitness and leadership coach. I help people just like you achieve more. Have you ever wondered what the still small voice is? The voice that Joel Osteen talks about, for example, when he says, you've got to listen to that still small voice within you. Some of my mentors and coaches refer to it as the voice or the inner voice. You may have heard of it as an inner guide, a deep intuition, super intuition. There's all types of ideas as to what this still small voice is. Even now, in this very second, I'm using this still small voice to talk to you. There's no script, as you can see. I'm looking right at the camera, and I just trust myself to give you the message that is coming from deep within. And I'm trusting the flow, everything about this very moment. And in that moment, I feel liberation. So how did I get here? How did I get to this connection, to this topic, to this video? Well, my first exposure to the still small voice or this inner guide was in high school. I was writing poetry in a journal. I think I remember some of my first journals that I bought. I think it was a simple little journal for a few bucks at Kmart, and bought it and started writing, much with a pen, a Parker pen maybe, and I started writing. And I just trusted myself to do it. I trusted myself to let out what I needed to let out. And time went on, and I collected over 10 journals or so of writing and poetry and philosophy. And I was that guy in high school, right? And so I trusted myself to think that was worth something. And those journals are still around in a basement or in an attic somewhere, etc. And, here we are. And I'm now making videos, right? And trusting that these videos are reaching a good person on fertile ground, people just like you. Jim Rohn said, you share a message long enough and it'll land on good people. And so that was my first experience with the inner voice, this still small voice in high school. And time went on, and I moved in with my first girlfriend, the one I would actually write poetry for. And, looking back, I do think that maybe that wasn't a great idea on some level because, I was too young. On another level, maybe it was the mistakes and lessons that I needed to make, right? I needed to feel certain levels of my errors, certain errors in judgment, learn certain things about myself that were important because it was a sincere relationship. But it had problems. No matter how loving it was, it had its issues. And seeing that firsthand has helped me become a better person as I've analyzed and gone through counseling and psychology lessons and things like this. Again, the still small voice led me to move in with my girlfriend at that time. And it led me to soon want to be a trainer and get passionate about fitness, and it showed me my passion for fitness and supplementation and wanting to help people get in better shape. That passion led me to know that I wanted to be a fitness trainer. Even now, it guides me to be passionate and want to get better at this whole making videos thing, right? You could say I'm currently with the video thing where I was years and years ago with the training thing. I just feel like it's a good idea, and here I am making the videos, being guided by an inner source, by an inner movement, by also what the world is doing. It's not just that I didn't start gyms, I didn't start protein shakes. There was an engagement of the outer world as well as what was going on within. And in that, I found my next move. And so, in any case, this is what I'm saying. The inner voice has been responsible for so many things, and there at the helm of tough decisions. Even yesterday, made a tough decision, listening to the inner voice, this still small voice. And now here we are, all these years later. I get deep into meditation to be with the source, be with the source of that voice, which is my own soul, my own light, my own inner feelings, guidances, revelations within. I remember, when I started Evolution Training in 2011, I had to move away from a girlfriend at that time. And I kind of felt that would be the end of that relationship. And within time, it was. That was difficult. It was challenging. It felt terrible on some levels. Again, it humbled me enough to learn some more lessons. So someone could say, well, why you should have not moved away. Yet I knew that my deepest knowledge knew that everything was pointing to, I had to make a tough decision like that. I had to take an opportunity and not sell out to my deepest visions, my deepest ambitions and dreams, and not sell out. You say, in contrary to that, I had to sell out to them. In other words, not stay in the comfort zone of my relationship and stuff like that, but actually sell out to what I said I wanted to be and really lead into the unknown. When I say I'm a fitness and leadership coach, in many ways, I feel I've earned that based upon my resume, my records of doing such challenging things that, what causes us as people to sometimes quit, to sometimes throw in the towel, to fold the cards, to say this is not for me. I think in many ways, many situations like that, I was tempted to, what do I do here? Do I go build the business that I've always wanted, the chance I've always wanted, or do I stay in this relationship that I'm not truly passionate about, and I sort of on some level, I'm emotionally cheating on this person. I don't want to be with them. I'm just going through the motions here, being selfish on some level. So what do you do, right? What do you do in a situation like that? And I'm being blunt here so you can get to the point that this isn't a game. And when I say I'm a fitness and leadership coach, I went to develop a fitness company and got people in better shape and taught everything from Olympic lifts, deadlifts, CrossFit, bodybuilding, started a business, and everything from contracts, training the trainers, et cetera, to lead. And so that's what I'm saying, that you can't get there without a deep internal connection for you to trust. If you don't trust yourself, you're not going to take action. And it's difficult for you to have trust if you can't connect with the deep inner guide. And so that's what I've seen. Even yesterday, like I said, I'm giving you examples of situations. So it's not just some guy just hearing some concept. These are real life experiences. Yesterday I was asked to invest a significant chunk of money, and it's a time when I don't necessarily have that comfort to do so. And yet, instead of saying, because I'm in an uncomfortable situation, I need to hold back and retract, I did the contrary. I said, no, because I'm in a difficult, uncomfortable situation, I need to push harder to grow. And I trusted the inner guide, the inner voice, and made a decision for that. Here we are, the next day, I'm making a video about the inner, still, small voice. Woke up, did some meditation, I've studied already, things like that, and here I am getting on video for you, talking about the entire elements of the inner voice. So what is going on with you, right? Took a moment there to talk about my connection with the inner voice in high school, how it's threaded through my life over the course of the last decade or more. And here we are in front of the camera, and can I tell you, I've only learned to trust that voice more. Sometimes it's lonely. Sometimes that solitude can hurt. It could feel painful to some. It could feel insecure. It could feel like you need a connection with another human being. And it's a time where we sometimes can realize that in itself is a type of addiction to validation. And when you start asking yourself, am I addicted to validation on any level? And when can I liberate myself from it? Again, this is a higher level of consciousness. I'm not being funny or cute. And through deep meditation and deep soul searching, I've been able to find the friendship with myself, in the sense, like, say I take a shower, for example, and I'm just relaxing and just, bathing, I will sometimes feel my own presence to just be in my own presence. Now that could sound somewhat crazy, yet I'm willing to bet if it sounds crazy to you, then I'm willing to bet that you yourself have significant struggles within that you battle. Needs for validation, insecurities, doubts. And again, you're not connected to that inner, still small voice, because I'm not coming from a place of lies. I'm not coming from a place of BS. I'm coming from a place of depth and truth. And so that's what I'm getting at here. That, these revelations would not be present in my life if I had not taken the time to really liberate myself from the need for attention, validation, codependency, sexual intimacy with just anyone to, get my rocks off or feel like I'm loved or something. But truly feel the need for true, sincere healing and connection and alignment with my inner being. That right there is the different game. And the game that I've been following ever since I started back in high school. So these concepts, while some might even connect with Eastern mysticism, like yoga, meditation, etc., Joel Osteen is a Christian pastor who also talks about the still small voice. One of the most famous Bible verses is, "Be still and know I am God," right? And so those are all kinds of ideas there that we have to ponder and see what truth is in them for us. And in that truth, and as we discover that truth, we can step into our own reality that cannot be owned or duplicated or replicated by just anything or a movie or whatever. It's what we are liberated when we embrace who we are. And that is the newer realizations that we're coming to as people, say, versus, let's say, the 80s or 90s, simply doing cocaine, getting the big house, the white picket fence, and the car, and the marriage, and just putting on the facade, cheating on the side, making sure that, on the outside things look a certain way, but on the inside it doesn't necessarily matter. It's all about appearances, right? So I'm not talking about appearances. I'm talking about the opposite. I'm talking about being. I'm talking about sometimes you could appear certain ways and it's not the truth. The truth is the truth. The truth is within. The truth is. It doesn't necessarily need a explanation. Think about it. Don't you think on some level I'm fully aware as to some people's reactions to messages, concepts, ideas like this? Don't you think I'm fully aware? Don't you think I have that capacity? If I've gone through the struggles that I say I've done, if I've had to struggle with breaking up with a girlfriend and start a business, etc., and gone through all of those inner struggles, don't you think on some level, if I'm here admitting to validation, being codependent in the past, if I'm here on this video now talking about those things, don't you think on some level I already know what these people or external sources might say about this concept, or the ridicule that they may think to themselves, or etc., etc.? Don't you think I'm fully aware of that? And so in that awareness, if I still trust my inner voice, it's not because I don't understand the opposition or the difference of trusting the inner voice. It's because I really think that's all just a facade, an illusion, a joke. That's the real joke, is to make fun of the inner self. That's the real joke, to make fun of the inner self. So I want to give you some ideas as to how to identify the still small voice. Ask yourself, when you hear story or doubt, is it your reptilian brain? Is it your reptilian brain? Meaning, we have an animal nature to us. When people are afraid of ridicule, people are afraid of being denounced and not accepted. So when you have these feelings, these doubts about going on within yourself, is it your reptilian brain, your animal self, triggering you into reacting? That's why you really want to get into meditation and stillness, to help you process and expand your understanding, and so that the reptilian brain can react, but it's not immediately gripping your body and your reaction. It's sort of something that happens, but there's a distance between you and it isn't right away. Like, you can't expect it to be so readily. Let's just say I've been meditating for years now. You can't expect to just have an immediate distance from your reactions just because you did 5 minutes. Like, that's irrational, So I did make a video on the reptilian brain. You can look at it if you like. Prayer, stillness, and meditation. That one is the one we just talked about. Meaning, go ahead and pray, meditate, be still, and really zone in and ask questions like, what do I want? Hypnosis may help. You really have to look within. Like, it's an excavation. Like, don't expect your inner voice to just be there hanging out, ready for you to just sell yourself out to it and just absorb yourself fully into you. Like, you have to do the work, the focus, the inner focus, and the appreciation, self-love, and compassion to get to it. You're not going to just get it. Act on it. Once you have a connection, act on it. For example, this video, the goals, never quit. Act on it. I could have ignored this video. I could have ignored the idea, but I've acted on it, right? And here it is. It can be nerve-wracking. Some people don't act on their inner voice, or they just kind of connect and that's it, and they never get stronger. It can be nerve-wracking. It has to trust it. You have to, the still small voice has to learn to trust itself. Okay? Understand that it takes practice, that you need practice in order to get a connection with the still small voice, and that sometimes people aren't always going to agree with you. The most common mistakes you can make with the still small voice is to not listen at all or not try at all. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And hopefully it's from a voice deep within. Bye.